Let me introduce the moderator for this panel discussion, Ms. Urmil Khurana. Ms. Khurana, if I could invite you. Ms. Khurana is a seasoned finance and accounting professional with experience both at strategic and operational levels. She has held leadership positions not just within the hospitality industry, but also in telecom, and she spearheaded many strategic initiatives. She is now associated with us for the second time. Her erstwhile association with us was as a Chief Financial Officer, and now she's associated with us as a financial advisor to the group. So, Ms. Khurana, a warm welcome to you, and I'll pass on the baton to you to introduce our distinguished guests who've, out of their busy schedules, have found the time to be here to engage with our audience, our team, and thank you so much. Please, over to you.
Namaskar, everyone, and thank you so much for being here with us today. As Mrs. Tyagi just mentioned, we have the privilege of, and we are honored to have a very esteemed panel of speakers, all women from hospitality leaders, who have significantly contributed to the industry and to their own companies. Allow me to introduce, while their achievements and accomplishments are too numerous for me to tell you about them here today, but allow me to introduce them briefly to you. Another fact is that I have had the privilege of knowing all of them individually as colleagues and friends. So another trivia which I thought I will add. And so it is not only their professional accomplishments I'm privy to, their leadership traits, which I have, I have seen firsthand. Ms. Suman Gahlawat, a very accomplished, seasoned, well-recognized, respected leader from the hospitality industry. She started her career with Indian Hotels Company Limited, the Taj Group of Hotels, has overall experience of over 2.5 decades, and then moved on to Marriott International. Currently, she's the general manager of Meridien, Gurgaon. Her operational excellence has led to extreme, and her revenue management skills have contributed to all the iconic hotels that she has worked with. But what I personally admire about Suman is not only her professional skills and professional achievements, is her focus on people, on the growth of all stakeholders, on her passion to create a positive work environment. Thank you so much, Suman, and we welcome you here to this discussion today. Ms. Ritika Gupta, she works with the Taj Group of Hotels, again, over 2.5 decades of experience, is Vice President for their corporate sales function, heads the customer centricity division. Ritika, with her innovative approach, has forged, and again, I'm privy to it firsthand, has forged innumerable corporate relationships, strong corporate relationships. Her focus on customer relationships has contributed greatly to the revenue management of the hotels and the company. And thank you so much, Ritika, for joining us here today. Seema Roy, again, who I've had the privilege of knowing for several years, serves as the managing director of Preferred Travel, which owns and runs brands like Preferred Hotels and Resorts and Beyond Greens. Seema's area of operations include South Asia, Middle East, and Africa. Seema's passion for the tourism and hospitality industry is beyond comparable. So she's responsible for and leads a very, very dynamic team in the retention and growing the large portfolio of hotels that they manage, retention and growth of the large portfolio of hotels that they manage. Thank you so much, Seema, for your time, with spending time with our team today here. Sheema Vohra, co-founder and managing director of Sartha Global and director on Mileage Communications. Thank you again. She is an industry veteran, she started her career with, has spent substantial amount of time with Oberoi Hotels and Marriott International, is passionate about the travel tourism industry, is on several industry forums, and has contributed immensely to shining the light on several hospitality brands and destinations. A PR guru, if I may say so. Thank you so much, Sheema, for joining us today.
Thank you.
So I think what we'll start with is, we would like to start with hearing about your journey. What inspired you to join the hospitality industry? And let's hear a little bit about your journey. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Urmil, for kind introduction. About my hospitality journey, well, it's been most unexpected and unconventional. I did not study hotel management. I studied journalism, and I was to just intern and probably make my plans for presentations when I came across an opportunity which just, would you like to join our hotel? That is what my husband, being in army, his transfer was in Calcutta. So we were staying in a complex called Turf View, and right opposite was a beautiful building called Taj Bengal. So one of the Saturdays, I just walked into the building. I just sat in the lobby and was waiting waiting for a friend to join me for coffee. And an HR resource walked. That's how they spot, it just walked across and say, are you waiting for somebody? Maybe that was their security protocol or whatever. I said, yes, I'm just. Got to know me for 5 minutes while my friend caught up with me. And she says, would you like to work with us? We have these. I said, I haven't studied. I don't know anything about it. There is really nothing in my mind about this. And my profession and what I studied and what I'm preparing for is completely different. She says, okay, give it a try, and it ended there. Next morning, I just walked up to her office, and next interview, and in the evening, I came back with the job in hand. That's how. And it stayed on. I would call it a beautiful accident, but something that was my true calling, and I never looked back. I never missed. A print journalism those days was a big thing. I was the only woman in the class. And it was not so common. Now, of course, every third person you'll find in media. But those were the days in early 90s and late 80s when I was studying this. And I felt that, yes, it was a hard run. And the start was beautiful, immense support, great organization. And my journey has been very, very rewarding, very satisfying, and very enduring. So hospitality to me is not just the career. I made it my way of life, and I made it all my life. And I don't even see anything else would have mattered. And not to say for saying sake, but every moment that I spent in hotels, in assignments, is something I loved, absolutely to the core. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for having me here, ma'am. Having known you I think you were one of the first people that I ever actually interacted with when I joined IHCL almost 30 years ago. And a little bit like Suman, what I can say is that in my case, it was my armed forces father So, I used to stay in right opposite Taj Palace in a place called SP Marg. And I'm not sure if you remember this. Maybe some of you who are as old as I am may remember it. But, those days, whenever the hotels were celebrating anything in terms of their Christmas or festivities, they used to put these beautiful lights outside. So as a child, when I was growing up, that's what I remember, always seeing the Christmas trees and the Christmas bells around not only the Taj Palace, but also I would say the ITC Moria. And I think much like you, Suman, I actually have a master's in programming. And I thought I would, I thought I was just going to be I was quite introverted and I did not want to work anywhere with lots of people. But it just happened that one summer, my father told me, he says, what, there is a job over here, look at this interview. And I said, okay, fair enough. I went and sat for the interviews and I didn't really know what hotels were all about anyway, except for, just going with uncles and aunts over there. And it was quite interesting because literally within, I think about a week of me going there, I got an offer to become an intern as a management program at IHCL at Taj Palace. That was my first, that's where I started my career and my journey at Taj from. And, it was a 1-year program. It was really fabulous. And all I can say is that the caring and the nurturing, and for me, I think also the value system, just like a little bit of what you said, because being part of the Tata group, that was something that was very prevalent. So you could sense that and you could see that. And I must say it's been a fabulous journey for me. I can only say that hotels are really like a little microcosm of the cities that we stay in. And it's really been a privilege because where else can you work where you can go back and see fashion shows, you can see global CEOs come in, you can see the beautiful actors and actresses coming down and say, oh wow, I saw Aishwarya Rai, or even go back and see like a Michael Douglas or a Pierce Brosnan. And also, of course, in the journey, that's on what you see outside. And on the other side, I would say it's been really fabulous because I've learned so much. I've actually done different assignments literally every 2 or 3 years. And from where we saw, at least what I see when I started out and what I see today, the industry has changed tremendously. I would say for many, many things the better. And I think I was also very privileged because when I joined, I also worked with some very strong women. One, of course, you can see sitting right here. But at the very helm at that time in IHCL, in sales and marketing, was Miss Kamilya Punjabi. And I had 2 very strong lady bosses. There was Deepa Harris and Renu Basu. And I think they really influenced us because, for us, particularly in sales and marketing, there were so many women all around us. And I think the men were also very, very kind and generous with whatever they wanted to be around with us for. So I think it's been a really wonderful journey. And I think as I take a look at, when I'm asked to go back and speak on a stage, I just find it a little strange. But if I can only say to all the young ladies who are here and the young girls over here, keep your dreams alive because you never know where you might reach. I never thought when I joined Taj Palace that I would still be here so many years later. Every time you made a contract, you just thought, I will not be here in 2018. What will I be doing over here? And still we are here. So it's really great. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ritika. Her conversation about meeting film stars, I have to tell you a little anecdote. I was the financial controller in Taj Mahal, Delhi. And a very famous film star, I can give you the name, Juhi Chawla, stayed with us. And the extras to be collected by the hotel. And I found out after she had checked out, our cashier, front office cashier, because she went to the counter, he was so enamored looking at her. And she said, is there anything else that you want me to do? He said, no, thank you so much, ma'am. And escorted her out. Fortunately, we managed to collect that money. Over to you.
Great. These have been really, really inspiring stories. First of all, thank you for having me here. As I was just mentioning to Urmil a little while ago, this is homecoming for me. This is really like life coming back a full circle. I started my career at this very hotel. So I'm really, really happy and grateful for the opportunity to be here and to be speaking with everybody. So, they say strong foundation is important for what you do. So this is where I got it. And of course, I moved on from one to the other to where I am today. But it's a wonderful experience to be back here. unlike my co-panelists, I actually studied hotel management, much to everyone's surprise in my family. By the time I was actually in grade 11th, I had almost finalized I wanted to be in hospitality. I think it was my more than love. It was more of my aspiration for love, for travel and hotels, because I didn't have an exposure to that side. It was very intriguing. I used to hear stories. It was fun. It was always great to listen to people traveling around the world or traveling within the country and the experiences they would come back and share. I think that sort of sparked something in me to say, okay, this is something I'd want to do. So, grade 11th, I think, or beginning of grade 12th, I actually also happened to meet some hotelier folks, which I think was pure destiny, because I think that solidified my thoughts to say, okay, with their mannerisms, with the way they talked about the exposure they had, of course the glamour, but also the hard work, kind of told me this is my calling, this is really, really what I want to do. But I think one thing that actually pushed me more towards this, it was my rebellious instinct to not do the stereotypical things, the engineering and the medical that our generation was used to kind of hearing. Okay, these are the lines you go after. At best you can, okay, fine, why don't you become a CA? It's a great career choice. Why don't you become a lawyer? So I really wanted to do something which was not as ordinary or as mainstream career, let's say. But honestly, I was nervous when I started out, because you didn't know what that meant. I had no idea, no exposure to what being in the industry really meant. My first experience in the industry was when I did my industrial training, which was at the very Taj Palace that Ritika mentioned. And I think I was enamored by the banqueting team there, the banquet sales. The most, confident, good-looking, smashing women around you could find was in banquet sales at Taj Palace in those days.
I agree.
And I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. But it's not easy. It's not easy to get into banqueting, because they need you to have experience, they need you to have exposure. So when we were going through our campus interviews, of course, there are management training programs and this and that, but I wasn't really getting the department of my choice. So I'm grateful for this hotel to have taken that chance on me and giving me banquet sales to start with. That's where I started. I actually spent 10 years of my life in catering sales. I loved that department so much. But then ultimately, you had to move on and make some other career choices. But yeah, I think it's what inspired me was all this, as I mentioned. What inspired me to stick on and to continue, I think it's like Ritika also mentioned, hospitality is, or maybe I think everyone's mentioned so far, is that it's not just a career choice, it's a way of life, it's a lifestyle choice, because you live and breathe that DNA every day. It's not something you leave behind, it's something you carry forward. And we talk about work, we talk about life, we talk about integration. I think it's really, really a lifestyle choice, because you start to live and breathe hospitality as a part of your DNA, and that's inspired me to kind of stick around. Many people drop out, from your college days to people you worked with, and having spent 2.5 decades, you see a lot more people moving away. So it's in fact harder to keep yourself motivated and inspired to carry on. But it's the beauty of this industry, I think, that keeps you going. And it's, we say passion, but I think it's also our love for the industry, for what we do every single day, and how we make memories for people, for other people, how you make a difference in people's life. I think that's what keeps you going. That's what's kept me motivated. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sheema.
Well, first and foremost, congratulations, Lalit. I love this. She leads. She always leads, and that's really my mantra. And thank you very much for inviting me today. So my story is different. I was looking, hearing all these wonderful leaders, and I said, man, Sheema, you've done nothing. Well, I'm a vagabond. I'm a gypsy by nature, and I was never serious about my career. I, like Seema, decided I would do anything which I was not supposed to do. So in my era, hotels was that for women. And then I get into hotels, get into Pusa, and I said, I'm not joining housekeeping because that's what's expected of me. Later I learned how much you really learned out there, but I just really wanted to do things differently. I actually went into the kitchen to do my training when the handsome Mr. Johar was the general manager at the Taj Mahal. And enjoyed that very much, but still kind of, it didn't do it for me. Then I got to travel, open a restaurant in Singapore, which I said, wow, that's fantastic. I mean, you get to see the global world with this industry. How wonderful is that? came back, opened a small hotel in a place called Nainital, which I loved doing that, and still said, maybe this career is not for me. And then suddenly got transported to the United States. And I have to say this, that's where I finally figured that hospitality is what I wanted to do. I did study in Las Vegas, did my hotel school there too. And my God, that's when I joined the hotels full time, and maybe I had grown up a bit, and so decided I needed to give it some stability. Been through all the departments, and what I love about this industry is the people, is the fact that you get to be very creative in whatever you deliver. Just think about it, whether it's any department in this industry, in the hospitality sector, you can really do it your way. The thing is, you've always got to be efficient about it. And then later on decided, had enough of this, had to become an entrepreneur, because I decided to move on from hospitality and get into full-time marketing. And now do what I really love and adore, is market destinations, and hospitality is a very important part of that.
Thank you so much, Sheema. I forgot to mention that her journey included long tenures at Oberoi Group of Hotels and Marriott International.
Started my career with ITC and loved it. So that was a lot of fun, and moved around too much. Guys, don't do that. That I can tell you for now.
So just now moving on about the industry, Suman, the question that I have on my mind is that are there any, even today, are there any barriers to women entering this industry? And what is it that we as the industry or we as the companies can do to support, to remove those barriers and support the women better once they are with us?
Sure. Thank you, Urmil. Yes, of course, there are barriers. Mere fact, we are talking about it, and this is part of discussion in any of such forums. So we do sense that it's not about one organization or about the industry. There are barriers. It's a global phenomena. And the statistics states that yes, we have, let's say, a 52% of the women workforce join, and that's the present from the statistics that we have. But 33 to 35% women only remain after maybe at a mid-level positions. And the 25% of that is in sales and marketing, the human resource, and of course that they make mark. At least there is a 30% or so women survive the middle management to senior management. But in leadership role coming to the operational women are less. So the joining is simpler, but staying on and ensuring that you endure the industry, I think that's something we need to see. And for that, we need industrial support, we need organizational support, and dropout is on account of probably work-life balance that tops the chart. Because somewhere, if you see the reason, there is enthusiasm, exuberance, people are happy to join, there is whatever the love and the love for the industry, orderliness, places, and most of the people, even if I meet somebody who left 20 years ago, she says she misses the hotels, wish she had stayed on. And everybody in heart of heart feel that, wish they had continued, probably put up with little more. So I think not because it was a choice to leave, but I think the compelling situations come across, and you have to make a career choice that you have to finally take a call. Can you really continue? So the industry or the nature of the job is such that it demands a huge, it really presses demands on your physical part of it, your mental tenacity, whole lot of other parameters. Because we are a 24/7 business and industry, barring few admin areas, if you talk about the hotel's operational front, there is no festival that we can know of. We can't really guarantee the family time. There might be, as you grow in roles and responsibilities, you have a lot of trade-offs in your day-to-day life. And all of us go through that. But I think one day is bad, 1 month could be, but I think what we all need to do is to hold on. Question, take break probably. If we are all working in great organizations, I think my very first organization, and this is the second one, and I hope I don't switch, Taj Group of Hotels. An organization which is all about people, which is all about giving, and it makes you so comfortable. I didn't even realize when I needed to leave for, let's say, 2.5 months. And my general manager at that point was Mr. Patu Keswani. Everybody knows, the founder of Lemon Tree Hotels. And I didn't even ask for leave. I said, I'll have to go because I'm not sure. 2.5 months, 3 months, my daughter had taken admission, and I said, I need to go to United States. When I came back, and they had not taken any replacement, and I just moved back into the role. I think that support, that understanding, and that value that you get from an organization, you never, you don't even question that you need to. I think that comfort factor, companies have to create for people, that if you give them, when you're hiring, I was recruiting somebody, and that lady was pregnant, 6 months, expecting her baby. And the choice from the board was, she's not going to give us much time, it's this, that. I said, give her maybe one occasion, maybe one time, maybe 6 months. She may be off-road 1 year, but she'll give you probably 10, 20, 30 years. You never know. And I took that chance. She joined my department, and a very active one, housekeeping, as an executive housekeeper. Took maternity break, bang on. She felt so responsible and so indebted. She moved back into the role sharp in the 6th month of her, after delivering the baby. She's still working in the same organization. That's the kind of species that we are. If you give little, you get a lot more from them. I think it's all about caring for people, wanting them to, understanding that, these are the women that maybe they have special needs. I believe so much in equality. We don't need to really discount anything that we need to pass on. But at the same time, an organizational support, making teams comfortable, giving them, when they go through the low phase, go through the hard times, giving that 1 inch of hand, that warmth, and then they will boom back. And the second reason which people leave out is the pressures of the societal fabric, that yes, there are times when we are not able to cope up, there are times, so I think taking sabbatical, and if that aids your longevity in the organization, that also is not a bad choice. But these are few things that we need to see. Firstly, it starts from within. If your determination, if you're wired in a way that job is important, and you are willing to give it what it takes, and also the company's support, you can really go a long way. That's what, if it answers your question,
Absolutely. This brings me to a related question, Well, there is enough research to support the fact that diversity, gender diversity or diversity of any kind, is good for organizations. It's not only about to do something as a social thing, but also in terms of the bottom line, in terms of the results, in terms of their financials. So my question to you here, Ritika, or any one of you, is, does the industry recognize this fact? Well, I know there are companies like LaLiT, we are hugely focused on diversity. I know IHCL has a lot of initiatives, and I'm sure a lot of other companies. But as Suman, you rightly said, I think what is also needed is a concerted effort from a policy point of view, from the corporates, from the industry. So do you think the industry recognizes this business case?
I think for sure the industry recognizes this business case, and I would just say, I would like to add on to what Suman said earlier. I think India is a country on the move. What I can say is that, even more than 2 decades ago when I started out, when I think back of my journey then, and I take a look at the young ladies who are sitting over here today, I think what I see is that the society has also changed a lot more. There's a lot more openness in the society. People don't ask you, where are you going to a hotel? What are you going to be doing in a hotel? I mean, you're working. You're going to go back and take out some rate letters, or you might meet a customer. Or you might just be, like you said, in a housekeeping, you might be going back and cleaning rooms. But I think that awareness was not there earlier. As the society itself has actually transformed and is opened up a little bit, what I do also feel is that as an industry, there is a lot more that this industry has given to other industries. So when you take a look at the retail sector in India, or you take a look at FMCG, or take a look at a lot of industries where people from this industry have gone out, a lot of young women as well. I think today where we stand, I always take inspiration from what I think is kind of going good in life. That's probably just the way I am, a little bit glass half full. And when I take a look at that lens, we're in a country where at least we've had a lady prime minister. We've had a lot of lady chief ministers. The number one economy in the world probably may get a lady president later this year, probably for the first time. And it's such a big deal in their society. So when I think about the fact that in India, inherently, women are the heart of the society. Like we're considered, we are also, what's the right word? We are also kind of put on a pedestal to say, like, we are the Devi. So we get the strength from that. I think organizations are also very cognizant of that. And I would say that for sure, hospitality understands and recognizes this, because you take a look at the kind of, like you rightly said, the kind of financial, for example, benefit that happens when there is a diverse and workforce. There is definitely data to go back and show that there is almost about a 36 to 37% growth in your bottom line if there is a diverse workforce. And of course, that's a McKinsey study. But what that also tells you is that it's not only about, and for me, I think it's diversity, equity, which is very important. It's very important to go back and make sure that everyone's voice is represented. Because what is the most important thing for us as a society? That where we are, where we probably live every day of our lives, not only at our homes, not only in the neighborhoods, but where we are working, there is a voice for everybody equally. And I think organizations for sure realize that. I'm very fortunate. I worked all my life in the Tata Group and IHCL. So I have probably had an opportunity to see it very firsthand. And I think because we are an old organization, we're celebrating in IHCL 120th year this year. We're more than 150 years in the Tata Group. And there are so many precedents in this group of women probably being at the forefront. Some industries probably did not go back and recognize that earlier. But I think in the hospitality sector for sure, when I take a look back and I even see what is happening today, the workforce that we are committed to, in 2022, we actually launched something called She Remains the Taj. And I'm sure many of you may have seen that campaign, but it was actually a framework to call out what we already knew. At that stage, our lady workforce or a women workforce was 17.5%. Today, in 2024, we are already 21.2%. And our goal is that we want to go back to 25% by 2025. And in the leadership roles also, because taking on to what Suman said, I think what happens is that you have to take us as who we are. I mean, a woman who joins a workforce, whether it's in the hospitality sector or anywhere else, we are going to go back and that's where that's where humanity kind of lives forward, right? We are going to go back and be part of the workforce, but we will also have our lives. We will also bring in perhaps other lives in this world. And it's important for organizations to understand that and to also support women in their journey to doing that. So very interestingly, I remember one conversation a couple of years ago, almost more than a decade ago, where one of our young girls in sales and marketing asked in a forum like so, and said, what do I do, because I'm probably going to go back and, have you thought about the fact that if I become a mother, where can I go back and leave my child? Because I want to come back to work. And I trust where it's not about just giving somebody at home an opportunity to look after my child. I want to be able to see my child. So there were creche facilities that we probably introduced almost about a decade ago in our hotels. By the same logic, we also have we have young men today, or just men who want to probably take paternity leave. I think you need to be an equal opportunity employer. And once you do that, and organizations, it's a journey. It's not going to happen overnight. This is definitely a journey to which everyone needs to be committed. For us, like I said, we're a little bit more fortunate. So when I take a look back at our journey in IHCL, again, about a decade ago, we went into the Northeast and we started hiring people from the Northeast because we realized that they were they were reaching out to us. Youngsters from the Northeast, both young women and men were reaching out to us saying that they wanted to work in hotels. And from that, we came up with these amazing, centers across about 6 cities in the country, where we actually go back and these are the skill development centers. And then we also launched something called a Diva program, which was only for young women to go back and to train in batches young women who can be like leaders. So they are not the, they come into managerial cadre in our hotels. So I think that makes so I think you do need to go back and have some very demonstrable, programs and some things to call out, just like you have SheLeads over here. And just like we had She Remains the Taj. And an interesting story I will tell you. Why is it important? I'm a woman, of course. So is most of the people in this room over here. Sometimes I have male colleagues who say, you guys are, I think there's such a lot of recognition today that we feel quite good that you guys are doing what you're doing today. Because, probably when we started our careers, it was not like that. And interestingly, there was a campaign that we ran in the early 1990s called This is the Taj, She's the Taj. It was just a campaign on She's the Taj, and the she was actually our hotels that we kind of portrayed, and we never saw this lady who was just walking around our hotels. And for whatever reason, we decided to revive that because it came back from some of our customers saying that why don't you go back and look at this campaign. And then we came up with this She Remains the Taj in 2022. And if you see it, it's actually about women in different fields, our guests, our colleagues, our staff, and it's actually one of the highest visibility campaigns that we ever launched. We didn't do it like that. We just thought we would just call it like She Remains the Taj. We're just doing one more thing for celebrating this year of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And almost about 550 million viewerships across social media platforms. That's unheard of even for us. So sometimes, what does that show you? It just shows that there is a very deep-seated emotion that it touched, not only obviously in women, but obviously in men as well. And therefore, I think it is important for organizations to constantly keep recognizing and to keep working on different platforms, different training programs, mentorship programs. We have a lot of mentorship programs where young women are mentored by both, sometimes women like myself, and also just apart from that, because it's about diversity and equity, right, by senior colleagues. Because just because you're a woman doesn't mean that you should only be mentored by a woman. You need to know what is happening in the world, and we are equal in this society, so why shouldn't we go back and have the opportunities in front of us like that? And I think from the industry point of view, for the LaLiT group itself, think about it. The leader of the LaLiT group is a very strong woman, and she is an amazing leader. And whenever we, end up meeting her in different forums, she has really championed the cause. So sometimes having people like all the people who I'm sitting with over here today, who are very, very accomplished professionals in their own career, forging their own path, that is how leadership is built. Because people can see and learn from each other, and they also get inspired from each other. And today, of course, I think a lot more younger women are coming into the workforce than ever before in society. So I think it's only about how we as an industry go back and match up to the expectations of the younger workforce as well. Because their expectation is not, today, if you talk to a Gen Z person, they're not going to say that we will miss out a holiday. They will enjoy the holiday, but they will also work hard. And technology can aid you for that in a very good way. And I have a colleague who's here in the audience with me. So she was a young mother who actually, I think, just probably took some time out for the time that she was rearing both her daughters, but then came back equally committed. And as she always reminds, saying that that you need to go back and have like a full life. So I think it's important for us to go back and just be enablers in this process and the journey. And if the human resources department in a company, or if the industry itself goes back and joins hands, I'm sure we will see a lot more light down this path as well.
Thank you so much, Ritika.
Was that very long?
No, very interesting, honestly. And since you mentioned mentorship, that's what I would like to ask you, Seema. What are your views? Well, I have had the privilege of having some exceptionally good mentors throughout my career, and I think that benefited me immensely. But what do you think?
So I think Suman and Ritika have actually covered quite a bit, which also kind of refers back to holding each other and mentorship. I think it's probably one of the most critical as young, talent growing in the industry. I personally feel mentorship is something that each one of us should seek out for, and at every level. When I say young, I mean including all of us. We are very young. It gives you I think it provides you a safe environment. It provides you a very safe space to be who you are, because when you're with your mentor, and your mentor is a very, it's a very well-meaning relationship that you have as a mentee and mentor. It's beyond the realms of what you do in your professional life. It's beyond what positions, what titles you hold. So I think it gives you a very, very safe space and environment as a human being, as a person. It could be a woman or a man, or however you identify yourself as, basically to seek out guidance and support, to be able to navigate some of the challenges they may have also faced in their times, or if not anything, to be able to ideate and brainstorm. Challenges that you all face today may be very different from the challenges we faced, like we said previously. For us, a challenge was explaining to people, why do you work in a hotel again? Just explain, what does that even mean, right? That is no longer probably as big a challenge. Challenges could be something else. So to be able to ideate, brainstorm with somebody who's had similar experiences, may not be same, I feel gives you that safe environment and safe space to be able to discuss and sort of thaw out some of those challenges. I also feel mentorship adds a lot of value from making connections point of view. You're able to network, but network not just for professional development, also be able to make connections at a humane level, where you're able to learn from each other. And mentors learn as much from mentees, trust me. I mean, I've had the good fortune of being a part of National Advisory of WICI, Hospitality and Travel Council, which Urmil and I are, and Suman are a part of together. And I volunteered for the mentorship program, and trust me, I think the learnings I got out of the program were probably as immense as probably the mentee got as well. So it's a rewarding experience both ways, and that's why I think and it's not just our industry. I think it's across. It just kind of cuts across industries, across lives, wherever in the world you are.
Thank you so much, Seema. Now coming to another important issue, which I think at some time or the other all of us face, the balance between professional and personal lives. Ritika and Suman touched on it. Sheema, we would like to hear from you that what is the mantra there?
So I have a different take on everything. I'm so sorry.
We would love to hear that.
So I just, before we move ahead, you talked about, your first question was about barriers. Guys, there are no barriers. I really believe that firmly. For us, there are no barriers. Dream on and dream big. If you dream on and you dream big, and whatever your objective is, you'll get there. The other things that you face are blocks that come on anyways. And when you come down to work-life balance, it's very important. And I know that you touched upon it very much. Ritika did. It's sometimes hard to do, because in our industry, it becomes part of your lifestyle. As far as I'm concerned, you suddenly have this huge number of friends, because these are colleagues that you work with. They become part of your life. You socialize with them. And I think the trick of really the work-life balance, to my mind, is three things. One is being very strategic at the work that you do, making sure that you've been able to strategize so that you're efficient at whatever the deliverables are expected. And guys, nothing speaks better than good work. Everything gets forgotten if your work's good and efficient, and you've done it in a very dignified manner. That's really important. The other thing is to really make sure that the teams that you work with, are you taking the time to empower them? Are you taking the time to teach them, because they will help you in that work-life balance? That's really, really important that you keep that going. And I think the third thing for me, which has been very important, is the fact that, I told you, I am probably one of the oldest here, but that's fine. In my time, technology didn't exist. But today you have technology. Learn to use that, and that will really help you, so that you don't, you're able to do that work-life balance. For me, for example, my weekends, I think very much like come Friday evening, you can make me work till 12 at Friday evening, but I'm in a bad mood if I have to work on a Saturday. It's the way I've conditioned myself. because that's my time. So really, when you're looking at your own time, I mean, I don't know how, all of you need to find what is that one thing that gives you as much pleasure as your work, and in some cases, maybe at the stage that you might be, more pleasure than your work. For me, it's Indian music. You know, it's my prayer, it's my meditation. And then the third thing is I really love to party. So I decided I have to spend time with friends, family, and have fun, which a lot of people have seen me do that. And then you must take out, even if it's just like 20 minutes in a week, me time, which is just do brainless stuff. Watch that stupid OTT program, sit down and do nothing and just stare at the sky. So that work-life balance when you come back to work definitely energizes you. It energizes you very much. I mean, we have a team of people. Majority of the people in our office are women. And I tell you, the women do such a better job because as women, we've learned to multitask, right? So we've always have had to multitask. We've always had to learn the work-life balance. I mean, the superwoman has to manage the home, has to manage her work. When she wasn't working, had to manage the husband, the children, the in-laws, etc. So really go on, that's my mantra for work-life balance.
Thank you so much. I hope all of you will emulate that. And while there is so many more questions, but I will come to the one last one. Before we allow them, I want to leave some time for them to also be able to voice if they have any questions for you. So my experience again has been, and you all of us know that you know at the mid-levels, at the entry levels, there are very many more women joining the industry. But it is only towards the top of the pyramid that the numbers, and I tried looking up some numbers and I was horrified. And I mean, we can look around and see how many of us, how many senior women leaders do we have on the boards of the companies, as CEOs, as MDs, comparatively a fewer number. So I want your take and your insight and your advice to all of our team members here as what is it that you can do to, you know, to get into that upward trajectory? What is it that you're in? Well, I know the organizations have a big role to play, but at our own individual levels, what would you advise them to get into the senior leadership roles specifically?
Me?
Yes.
Okay. So very first thing I would recommend is know your job. That's the given. There is no beginning without it. So something that you choose to do, at least you can always say, I've been shortchanged, I've been discounted, my voice wasn't heard, mansplaining, and million other complaints. But if you know your job, you make your point, I don't think you can be relegated to the background. There could be a delay, but I'm sure there'll never be a denial. Secondly, learn to say no. I learned this art much later in my career, initially because I came from a non-hospitality background. It took time to really understand. While I gave it all to my work and I ensured that, you know, I'm averse to reminders. So if somebody had to tell me, you need to do this way, it bothers me. It bothered me a lot more. Of course, I don't witness many years that's behind me. But I would put in that much extra work. Because I did not do the hotel management, I moved. I mean, it sounds a little stupid, but I went to the boiler room to see how it works. I went to laundry to see how that works. Because, you know, something that needed me when you take larger responsibility, you can't really hide behind the garb that I will learn it on the job. I never made it that was not my story. I would learn it on the job. I would learn definitely, but I would prepare for the job that I'm stepping into. I think that's something once you have that, you have those muscles that you built, there will be time to flex that. I think that's very important. Another thing is that there are times when you really feel that, and mentally we are not heard because we are not making a point, we are the last voice around. No. I mean, I've been in and out of boardrooms, from briefings to boardrooms, culture that you see. And I'm sure I don't see anymore that you are not heard. Your voice is not heard. And everybody gets an equal, I'll wait for the guests to be seated. Good evening. everybody gets opportunity to be heard, and I think if there is merit in the something that you say, I think that makes it all. So saying no, you just ensure that you are not cluttering your space, because something that's not going to work, there's no point building hope, taking it further than it deserves to be. I think that helps, and that helped me manage time and a lot of other things better. Prioritizing your work, moving into advocacy, sponsorship, all these things work well, but nothing works better than probably preparing yourself for what you really need to do. There might be a career choice that you make, that I want to go here, or I want to take this, or I do not want to take this. But I think you are, in the times that we are living in, you have absolute control of what you would like to do, how far you would like to go, and how you want to represent yourself. I think it's so much in your hand than in the hands of the company. Organizations obviously will aid that, because if they are believer, and I think most leading organization, maybe this one, we have right in front of us the managing director, chairman, managing director of the group. I worked in IHCL, I worked with Marriott International currently. Our country, South Asia head is a woman, all 5 feet, nothing. But you see the power. I mean, I don't see, if somebody says, this is how it happens, I'm sorry, I don't witness it anymore. And I think that's the power, and the power has to come from within. And once we are secure, and nobody else can make that, you have to feel secure in yourself, be confident about yourself, have belief in you that yes, self-doubts will come, bad days will come, some moments will come, some losses will come, and there are highs and lows, that's part of the journey. But I think holding your grounds and continue to believe that you can do it, and you will, and you choose to do it, I think that's what takes care of all these issues that surround us.
Thank you so much, Suman. Ritika, would you like to?
I think somebody who's a board member.
Would you like to?
So my advice that would be, do not give up. I feel there are many, many occasions that come during your career, your tenure, where you're lured, or you get tempted into saying, okay, maybe this is it, maybe it's time. But don't hang your boots. Trust me, on the other side, you'll emerge stronger. You'll look back, you'll be happy you took that decision to carry on. And do not restrict your imagination. Like I said, I started my career sitting where we are sitting right now today. When I started out as a banquet sales executive in a team of 10, I did not or could not imagine this to be a reality 25 years down the line. But as you move along, you need to keep that belief going. You need to have imagination that's bigger than the canvas probably you feel you've been provided. There are, I think we've said it, and to my mind, I feel we are fortunate we're not in the business of being rocket scientists. So there is nothing that you cannot do. You can. We've come from different backgrounds. We've been non-hoteliers, converted to hoteliers, hoteliers moving out to being successful entrepreneurs. I moved from being a hardcore operational hotelier to being on the other side as as leading a soft brand in the country. You don't have to go by the book. You have to probably make your own imagination. So I feel if you don't give up, there are instances that will hold you back, but try and stick on if you can. You do need a very, very good support structure, support system around you at work, at home. But sometimes you need to build that. Build your own. Like I said, seek out mentors. Find your own support system if you don't find it in natural ways. So as long as you don't give up, you're able to have a bigger imagination that you can imagine yourself. I think, that would be probably my advice today.
Thank you so much, Sheema. We would like to hear your different take.
That was wonderful, Seema. Love it. So proud of you. I love the imagination bit. I just have 2 things to tell all these lovely women here. Guys, in today's world, all of us are so fortunate. You are so fortunate today. You're in an organization which has such a fantastic program. Look at these lovely faces. Remember, but you have choices. Today, you have the choice to make a choice. So even if sometimes while you're working, you feel dejected, believe me, we all feel dejected. Doesn't matter. If you have to sulk for a while, sulk. It's okay. Gussa karo, it's fine. But then forget it, go back with determination, make those choices. And another thing is, say you've come to the end and like, oh, this is what I want to be. And suddenly you realize, which I did at some point, to say, this is not what I want to do. Well, change your course. You have another choice to make. So choices, choices, choices. Ladies, that's the way to go. You're in a very, very fortunate time. The hotel industry is booming. There is opportunity at every corner. You heard these lovely ladies talk to you about that. Well, so you're really sitting in a very pretty place. Look for those choices, decide what you want, have your imagination and dream big.
So I heard a lot from these ladies, and I'm going to try and practice some of that. But here's what I feel. I think it's so important to know who you are. Sometimes in life, we end up following other people's dreams. And I think for women particularly, we end up following other people's dreams in our lives. So you must have a dream for yourself. I said that right in the beginning. And that dream is something that only you can script your story for. And if you need to fortify yourself, whether it is with relationships, with mentorships, with more education, with learning new skills, there has never been a better time than today in the world, where everything is actually on our fingertips. So I think the problem or the challenge is that there's a lot of information out there which is already available, but it's actually humanizing that. And if I might say, it's like womanizing that information to our benefit. And I think while there is no substitute for the hard work, I would also say it is important to do smart work for yourself. And if you're in it for the long haul, because you spoke about a board position, and boards I'm sure have very tough decisions to make, also look for inspiration around you. Because sometimes the stories that you go back and see other people living, that can probably actually because there's a lot that is thrown at us as women. There are so many hats that we go back and wear that we are always, wanting to be super women at everything that we do. At home, at work, in the society, with our friends. And we only have 24 hours a day. So I think it's very important to go back and to make sure that you create a little bit of a chart for yourself on what you can go back and do. Be realistic about it, but I think no harm in going back and making sure that you also seek help when you need to get that help. And that could only be maybe sometimes even from your own family. It could be where you work. It could be just because you know somebody, maybe a senior at work or a senior in the industry, somebody that you can go back and speak to and seek that help. But I think that everybody's career and everybody's journey is different. And therefore I always say that you must know what you want. And sometimes I also feel that people who get what they want are people who did not even know that this was going to come to them. So, life is fun. I think you should also have a little bit of fun on whatever you want to do, whichever path you want to have. Some people I've seen are very committed to saying, okay, this is what I will go back and do, and then I will become this. And sometimes they do. And I think the unconventional that you spoke of, and the changing course and being flexible at every time with yourself as a person is so important. And I think there's your own inner compass. You know who you are. Once you know who you are, you know your strengths, you also know what could probably be your own weaknesses and how you work on that. I think then the skill set is actually jobs you can learn. But it's really about making sure that you also pivot yourself around and you are constantly being a little bit, I think, being your own person and having your own voice in whatever you're trying to go back and do and say. Dream on, like I said. Have the stars in your eyes. Today's day and age, there are so many entrepreneurs. People are opening up so many businesses. So technically, you can always go back and say, I'm the princess of my own dreams. So it really doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. I'm the empress of my own dreams. Now the world can see whatever, but in my head sometimes, when you want to go through a wonderful day that may not be so wonderful, that's what you go back and tell yourself. So I think what I can say to all the young ladies over here, in where you all are sitting, with the lady who is actually leading you and has been leading you for such a long time and has been a great inspiration to the industry as well. I think there can never be a better canvas than that. You're very fortunate because not every company is like that. So make the most of it and go for it. That's what I would say.
I love what she said about working smart. And the only thing that I would like to add to it is, ladies, learn to take center stage. You know, I see this very many times that you work hard, but then when it comes to taking credit for your work, you take a step back. Maybe it's just how we are all brought up, you know. So learn to take center stage. I always keep telling the women in my own teams also that nobody is going to, if you are expecting others around you, whether it's your bosses or colleagues, to sit and plan your careers, it's not going to happen. Plan for yourself, and once you have a plan and you worked hard towards it, then when you enlist support, it's so much easier.
So I would want to ask a question on behalf of my team members here. And I think, Ms. Khurana, you did touch upon it, the hesitation for women to be visible. You know, they may do all the hard work. They may know more than their men colleagues, but they're so hesitant to raise their hands and be visible that, yes, here's an opportunity, should I take it on or not? There's so much of self-doubting that we have all the time, you know. So what is your advice? I mean, I'd leave it open for anyone. I'm sure many of the people sitting here, the ladies sitting here, have had that in their journeys, and I'm sure we'd love to hear from you.
That's so right. It's the self-doubt comes from this no confidence in what we know. But it's okay, guys. It doesn't matter. There are no stupid questions. It's just a question. If you don't use opportunities, like whatever opportunities you get to come and talk, be confident of yourself. And you know, if you've had a doubt, say, and you want to go back and even improve upon that, the best way to improve is really through education. There's nothing better. Even a forum like this is very educative, right? You've learned new things. So after this, we need to have a question. Let's come on. The no self-doubt, you tell us, we're all happy. I think everyone here is going to be very thrilled to answer whatever question you might have. Don't doubt yourself. There's no reason to.
Can I just add to that? Since all the women are sitting here, you must have seen this poster a lot. If you haven't, I'll just remind you of that. Here's to strong women. May we grow them, may we be them. And I think that's what we should all be. Be strong, just ask, it's okay. All of us have started out pretty much like you, in actually a situation in a society which was 30 years ago with less openness than it is today.
I know we were good, but I'm sure there's a question.
Hello, my name is Shivani, and I've recently joined in the sales team itself, and I'm taking care of MEH portfolio. It's beautiful to hear the journey of what you have shared just now for all of you. One question which is coming to my mind is if you could share a few of the roadblocks or few of the challenges, be it personal or professional. How did you cope up, and what message you can give? Maybe from some live example, if you can share some of them, that would be beautiful. Thank you.
Well, quite a great question. Thank you. Challenges, you know, challenges will keep coming. Every day there is a challenge in front of us. We need to see the opportunity in that. Every challenge comes with some kind of an opportunity. We just need to approach it, of course, with the positivity. And your question was as to how did we overcome that? How did we deal with it? Whatever comes your way, you have to see that why did I start? Why is this? Work will pose. Let's say 3 days back, I manage a hotel. There is a lot of construction around. We were building a lot of areas up, and the flooding was on. Totally, the whole city was under the water, and torrential rain really spoiled it. I'm talking about as recent as I witnessed. And and it being Sunday, this was Saturday rather. So Saturday, the workforce, of course, the weekends are busy, everybody's in the hotel. I had team that volunteered. I didn't even have to ask. I just came to work myself, and I was supposed to go to Jaipur, but I moved back in work, and all of them followed. and the way the teams worked, the way, I mean, what I'm saying is, it could be as inane as this, that the work gets you around, you see a challenge as, this is my problem, but when you're working in your ecosystem in the hospitality is really beautiful. And I would say it's one of the, I started that, I've stayed on because the industry that it provides you an extended family, great relationship, globe comes to you. As she said, there is who's who, we've been meeting, you create an ecosystem where you always find help. And not that you are also available for help. So anybody calling up anytime you would like to assist in whatever way, because you feel the pain, you understand the nuances of the businesses or the situation. So I think when that comes around, the support system is so strong sometimes, and we faced it professionally. Another challenge I'll give, that converted into opportunity. COVID came, everybody struck down. We were making plans to close the hotels, many hotels closed. Went to my owners that we need to do this. He says, we've given you the hotel, it's your choice. And organization level we were working, and then suddenly we had business, of course, the vicinity of the airport helped us getting that. We moved in, and that time in April 2020, when you have the first flight in, and COVID was not something that right now we remember it differently, but that time even somebody coming from outside, you feel the death is in front of me, because that was the very first month we were not even knowing what it is, unprecedented story, and you have a team of some 300, 400 people behind you, and how do we do it? We decided to keep the hotel open, wait for a while, and when the business came in, whatever little it started trickling in, who would go first? You have to take the lead. You wear a PP gear. It was the yellow ones, the very first contingent that we received. And everybody aligns, because initially everybody has that fear, how do we go about it? Parents would call you, you want to kill my, all kinds of questions come. They feel so unsafe. They are so scared that what it is going on, why everybody's sitting at home, why this hotel is working, why this. And I'm sure many other hotels went through the same story. But you have to hold on to the grounds. You have to continue to foster, lot of strength you have to pass on. And you have to draw energy from your team, but they also draw a lot of energy from you. I think anything that comes as a challenge, and in the face of it, adversity does bring out the best form of, the results are stunning and stellar. And we managed the hotel throughout the year. And I would be very proud to say our team, I of course won the Leadership Excellence by the Marriott International, but at the same time, our teams, our owners, how they express their gratitude, how everybody came around, and we were that year as if it's not a work family, it is the family, because during those times when people feared people, when people did not step out for days and months together out of their homes, we were working every single day, rushing home, making your way that you don't see anybody, rinse, boiling water, pouring over yourself. Can those days be forgotten by anybody? I think that's what the professional challenge is. You have to come out of everything. One time you see, oh, this is it. How do I get over this? But I think once you are deep dive in it, you just feel that, together we can do a lot. We can conquer a hell lot of things. Personally, of course, I have a lot of parents asking. We also, from a company side, we mentor a lot of young women, Vedic scholarships and a whole lot of programs. And the first thing parents ask, is it safe? I said, there is no safer place than the hospitality. And trust me, when I say this, I mean it. Having spent almost this is my 30th year running in the business, I feel this is the safest place to be, as safe as, and a lot depends on you. I don't ever feel, whether it was 3 a.m., whether it's coming at 2 a.m., we live in a city which is like Delhi NCR, but I never had any issues about. And I tell girls, come here. Everything is so well organized. People are the most civic people you would find in the society. Everybody who walks through the door, any foot that walking into the door is somebody to, it's the best crowd that you can get. Your food, your clothing, you don't have to worry about your logistics, because that also is taken care of. The kind of care that you are provided, the emergencies that you have to face in life, it's not one person or the department. I think it's not the hotel. I worked in both organizations. There is a force behind you. There is the whole organization gears up. And I think that's the most beautiful part. And the people that you meet. And there is not a single country, I mean, I would, of course, out of, let's say, 40, 50 countries, you have somebody out there you can call and go there, and anytime those people coming to India, they have a home here. I think that's what hospitality gives you. I was talking to my daughter, who of course is in the same business. She got there was an opportunity for her to join investment banking, a bright kid. Definitely that was something we were pushing her. And she says, no way, it's this life. I said, whole life you'll continue to do this, though I'm a big advocate of this. She says, not this life, Mama, 7 lives I will be doing hospitality. That's the power of this business. Stay on, girls. You really are in good space. Today's time, the age of inhibitions is not there. There were times when we would hesitate to say something, I mean, not that. But today, you are so open. We are living in times where before you even think, people speak. They have no hesitation about expressing themselves about anything. Diversity, inclusions of all kind. I think the society, the world is at our doorstep, and everything is at a fingertip. You have access to opportunities, access to information, and you are in the best phase for hospitality business or any other business. As Ritika said, is the greatest time. It's a golden era for our business too. So stay on, give it your best. This is one industry where being in one place, hotels particularly, you touch every aspect of the business. You don't need to go to housekeeping or HR you touch upon everything as you grow up the ladder. So I think for me, it's paradise, guys. It's really brilliant. Thank you. So challenges will come and go. You need to stay on.
Any more questions?
I'm doing my management training from front office. So, on behalf of my batchmates, I just want to ask you that this is our starting journey in this industry. So, what are the things we need to do and we need to follow as we are we have just started our journey, and obviously we do have our dream to sit in those chairs. So, what are the things we need to do and follow, and also maintain work-life balance and everything in the other hand?
Thank you, Akanksha. Your smile is so beautiful.
Thank you.
So keep that going. First, smile always. People like to be around people who are happy and smiling. Well, I'm not going to get into the detail. We have a fantastic panel here. But I'll just like to tell you, also answering to what you said, I'll give you a little incident that happened with me. So I'm terrible when I look at numbers. I would literally shiver. Shiver means shiver. So if I had to look at, numbers in our game is very important. I'm from the sales and marketing. Started with front office, but I'm in sales and marketing. So I would say, oh my God, every time it was numbers, either I had to go and rattle it, which is terrible because it could be totally different, or I would have to kind of shy away from it. So what did I do? I would sit down and look at every data with the numbers and understand every bit of it. So people didn't realize before I came on to even talk, I've done my homework to the core so that I don't get petrified by it anymore. So even if I'm asked a question. So first thing is education, education, education. Don't be scared. Ask those questions, take advantage of any kind of training forum that you're part of. The more educated you become, the more you learn your job, I think Ritika talked about that, the better off you're going to be. So since you're just starting off, learn that, be inquisitive. Inquisitiveness is good. And it's quite okay to take center stage and ask the question, because what the hell, there's nothing wrong with it, right? So really inquisitiveness, learn and ask a lot of questions. And what you don't understand, ask again and again and again. And self-learning. You've now started a career. You're not in college, you're not in school. Only mom and dad love you the most. Now you're in this world of a career graph, okay? So now do your own self-learning and be the person you want to be. That would be my only advice.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
What I would add to that is, like she said, I think the first thing that you really need to do is just, grasp whatever you're doing at this point of time. Since you're in this industry, you must learn about this industry. And I would add to what she said that now that you're in a professional career, not everything is going to come to you in form of a training program. So you have to continuously go back and learn. And we are living in a world today where the business cycles are reducing, faster and faster. The entire life cycle of businesses is really shortening. And therefore, there's a huge opportunity for us to go back and also learn, because you see the amount of open courses which are available today from the best universities in the world. And I think if you go back and do that, don't think of only learning because you're in hospitality. Learn a little bit about life. Learn what's happening in the world. So if AI is happening in the world today, you have to know. Because in another 3 or 4 years, you're going to find that it'll be pervading every area of what we are doing today. It already is, but a little bit more than that. And I think the most important thing for me always is about attitude. If you have a great attitude and you are willing to go back and learn from everybody around you, from both the good and the bad, actually from the bad even better, because you'll make sure that you don't go back and repeat that bad again, I think you will be able to go back and keep growing. And also be patient with yourself, because it's very easy today for me to sit here and say this, but 30 years ago I was, exactly like you. So there is no recourse. Of course, like I said, even that, the journey, even in that, I think those phases are also becoming a lot more shorter today. But be patient with yourself and be confident in what you're doing, because I think that's the best thing, and be a people's person. Whether you work in the hospitality business or anywhere else, I think if you're not a people's person, it's not going to help you. Because like she said, you always go wherever the positive people are. That's the nature of life, right? We all are also attracted towards that. So I think that's about it. It's not so difficult to kind of do what you're doing and to grow to the next level.
Yeah, I think most of it has been said. I'd just add to what Sheema said, have fun along the way. Don't forget to have fun, guys. If you enjoy what you do, you're not going to feel it like a burden. I think that's very important. Learning at every stage of, trust me, all of us are still learning. Willingness to learn, to do different things, to look at things differently is extremely important. If you don't do that, then you get stuck. You are inside the box. And I think I'm sure you've been hearing about phrase outside the box, right? Like I said earlier, do not restrict your imagination, but stay adaptable, be agile. Look at opportunities. I think just to add to what Ritika said, when you're going out there, and I think I mentioned it earlier, for me, hospitality teaches you a lot of life skills. So, like she said, don't just learn about inside the industry, also learn about our customers. Our customers are sitting everywhere else. They're not inside our industry, right? What are they looking for? What is it that inspires them to come and stay at hotels? That's going to help you as you go along your journey. But most important, I'd say, it's a lot of hard work, but have fun along the way.
Oh, I'll give one last opportunity to the men in the room to ask a question, because we are truly inclusive. So, one question for the men in the room. Yes.
Okay, so I learned that there are a lot of biases within ourselves, and that's why we opted to use the word that you have to have confidence within you. And a lot of bias with self-trust comes from assumptions that we also built inside us. And when we talk about women leadership, we have also always been thinking of powerful women, and that imagery of powerful is something that is being constructed within all of us on its own. So I really want to ask all of you as male colleagues, what are your expectations from men to be supportive of gender diverse organizations? Because the moment we will all have that clarity to be supportive. I don't use the word help because I don't want us to be in any sort of a privileged space. But how can we be more assistive? How can we be more supportive to our women leaders, women identifying leaders or team members across levels so that we help each other grow?
I would say introspect. And, I was discussing this a little while ago. I feel a lot of times biases are unconscious. You don't know that you have a bias. So be open to the fact that you may have biases. And today, organizations, I think we spoke about how organizations are coming forward and, sort of charting the way forward for, diversity, equity, and inclusivity. A lot of training programs around unconscious biases are out there. I think it's important to ensure each employee, it's not just the male employees or the female employees, I think everybody, there may be biases against age, it may be biases against cultures, it may be biases against where people come from, so it's not just gender bias. I think biases, unconscious biases exist pretty much across the sphere, and I think being open to the fact that yes, because I always say, if you ask the audience here, young minds, do you think you have biases? 90% answer will be no. I'm a very open-minded today's person right here, very modern in my approach and my thinking. I don't think I have a bias, but actually if you start to introspect and you do go through those training programs, they open your mind up. So I just feel openness and introspection is perhaps what can aid and assist, and not just for one gender, for the other. I think it's for all. Because sometimes we hold the, let's say, the male gender in a stereotypical fashion to say, okay, that's how he must be thinking. It may not be you cannot generalize. Many times you cannot. Most of us have been fortunate to have a support structure that had very strong male leaders who supported our journeys. That's why we are here. It cannot happen with one way or the other. So I think that's probably, again, my 2 bits on it.
Akshay, I think, so my thought would be really, I think collaboration, more communication. And if there are biases, go up to the person and talk about it. And I think when everybody here talked about the fact that, assistance, aid, let me ask people for that's across the board. So, and don't underestimate, just because, sometimes you might find us not talking or taking center stage. I would just say that dignity and just being able to communicate a little bit better.
Hi, Akshay. Thank you, actually. This is quite a, often people feel that there is no bias, we are all fine. Your question itself suggests, how can we support and assist? So you put yourself on a pedestal. Sorry, but it's not the thought. I think the question could be, how could we move forward together? Would give you a better space. And I think don't judge or see your colleagues from prism of gender. I think that will really help, because once you take a role, unless somebody reminds me and people come and I feel no more Women International Days interviews or messages, because I say I stay away from that, because unless somebody reminds, I don't even realize in the role that you do that, or you just feel you are working as this or that and not really as a woman or a male GM or a woman GM. So I think that is, and be fair. If you give equal or a level playing field to all your colleagues, be it men or women, I think your half the job is done and your intent really will go far. And the trust that you will enjoy, the confidence that you'll inspire will be immense, and that will reap benefits. Another part is when we are looking at, let's say, if we are picking up somebody, just see the merit. Because in work, and use particularly in HR, it's good to see. Do not let anybody lose an opportunity. If both are men and a woman, both are 100%, do not let the woman go because she's a woman, or don't let a man come in because he's a man. I think that's what, that approach will really help the workforce, because eventually it's proven that you bring a beautiful balance to the table if there is no lopsided workforce. I think we are half of the planet, can't be ignored anymore.
Okay, lots of serious stuff, like my, panelists have gone back and spoken about. What I would say is, first and foremost, you must recognize that men are from Mars and, women are from Venus. So if you understand that there is going to be a difference between us, we must celebrate the difference also. I think, I really agree with what she said. I don't need actually today after working for 30 years International Women's Day, but maybe for a lot of younger women they do, because probably from the society, from the homes where they are coming, it may still not be as equal for them as it was probably for me. But all I would say is that if we just go back and treat each other as human beings first, and we go back and listen to each other, and really listen, I think that is really all that you really need to do. Because I would not want someone to come and say, please pick up this 15 kgs of baggage from here. That's not the equality I'm looking for, because I won't be able to do it. And similarly, I think for women also, we can't go back and just think about ourselves and not think about, we can't be where we are if we don't have the support of everyone, most especially the men in our lives. And I think the men in our lives who are also faced in today's day and age, they have working wives, they have young daughters who are coming back at home who know a lot more than they do and are very opinionated. They have very strong mothers probably who have been, raising a family, so they have their own opinion. I just say this with a lot of jokes sometimes, because when I see my father and I see my cousins, they're always saying, listen, we just agree to whatever you all are saying. I don't even want to have a conversation about it. So I think a little bit of humor and laughter, that's what I would say, to a very serious otherwise conversation, because I think the society is moving to that direction. There is a greater awareness than there was ever before. And I think I find that a lot of my colleagues 5 years ago may not have been as conscious and as, they would not have probably gone back and even in their language, like Suman said, realized when they were just probably talking down, and even we would just accept it because, it was no big deal. But today they make that effort. So I think there's a long way that we've come and a long way yet to go.
I think further to that, what Ritika said is that luggage lifting, etc. Our strength, we should see that differences are our similarities is what we don't want. The differences need to be celebrated, because that is the real strength. That's important, and I have been mentored by men best in the business. So I feel they are so important, father, brother, whatever, so we are nothing without you and you are nothing without us. I think on that note, celebrate differences more than similarities.
Thank you so much, all of you, for your valuable insights and perspectives. The message that I would like to, and we've heard it all directly from them, that while there are each challenges to be converted into an opportunity, and while there will always be challenges, but they have also shown us the path to empowerment, success. Let's forge a strong community of women together, and we at the LaLiT here are very, very fortunate with the amount that is being done with the SheLeads at the LaLiT campaign, the mentorship programs, and so much more. So I think let's take advantage of all of that, and continue to support each other, continue to grow together. Thank you so much, all of you, for making time to be here today.